Hey, Andrew.
Hey, Justin.
Road to the Robertson, Part 2, starting Friday.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Welcome to the AudPod, where we're talking Kitchener-Rangers hockey with the AudBalls themselves, Andrew and Justin. Take it away, fellas.
Round two.
Round 2. I mean, that was a pretty fast round 1. Nice that we got a little bit of a time off here to recalibrate, readjust, watch London lose.
It's true. They did. They went out, in 5 games. I was hoping that they'd put up a little bit more of a fight just to, drain the Soo. But here we are.
Yeah, but here we are. We if you've been following along on the Odd Podcast, we've thrown the format, whatever, out the window. We've been doing post-game mini episodes, which people seem to be liking.
People are listening to them.
People are listening to them, so we are assuming because of that you like them. So we're going to keep doing that through the rest of the playoffs. So expect 12 more of those. And then how many games would we play in the Memorial Cup? 3. So 3 more of those. So 17 total. That's all we're going to do because that's all we are going to need.
3 games. No, there'd be 3 and then 1 more because they win their 3 round robin games and then the championship game. So
16 more episodes, mini episodes coming your way.
Yeah.
But this is our in-between series episode. So this will probably feel a little bit more like a normal AudPod episode where it's not gonna be a super long first part here where we're gonna talk about this previous series. We're gonna talk about the Soo series coming up. And then at the end of this episode, so if you've been listening the whole time to the mini episodes, you can probably just stop listening. Is it weird to tell people to stop listening halfway through an episode? But yeah, if you've been listening all the way through, you can. But if you want to listen to all those previous episodes, that's going to be at the end.
You should do stand-up, and you should explain all the jokes as you're telling them.
That can be my bit.
Yeah, your bit can be like, I don't really tell the joke, but like you just tangent off into like what you're talking about. Yeah.
Oh, the context you need to understand this joke is the Saginaw series over 4 games. Andrew, what'd you learn?
I learned that the Spirit was indeed a one-line team. Mm-hmm. And the Rangers just had too many horses and too much depth. And even when the Spirit's goalie played the game of his life, he couldn't do anything to save the Spirit. And we'll say that their spirit was broken in 4 games. That last game, I was a little taken back by how little fight there was left in them. There was literal fight in them, but I didn't think that they really showed up to win that game. I think they were kind of ready to pack it in a little bit, which I understand after a long season and you're a young team and the Rangers are likely not going to get reverse swept here. It's I get it. I was hoping for a little bit more of a compete in that last game, but as a Rangers fan, I'll take it. As a hockey fan, I was a little kind of like, all right, it wasn't my favorite series.
Yeah.
It was, it was what I expected. I think, I didn't expect Shurigan, the goalie for Saginaw, to play as well as he did. Yeah. And ultimately, I think that the Soo series will just be like a huge step up for the Rangers. I don't know, I don't think the time off is going to affect either team. So I think ultimately I'm just glad in the Saginaw series that nobody, there wasn't too many players banged up. Yes, there were some big hits and there's always sometimes, there's injuries that guys are nursing in the playoffs. But like, as far as I know right now, everybody that was playing in game 4 should suit up in game 1. So
the goaltending, like I think it's great that we didn't get goalied once. Like they took us to overtime in a game where we crazy outshot them. We could have easily gotten goalied in that, like in hindsight could have been goalied in that game. But I'm glad we didn't. I think that helps the team dynamic going forward that didn't happen. And like you said, nobody got injured in the end. As Bab said, you got to ice this one in 4. Like this team is not at the same level that the Rangers are at. So even if it went to 5, like that could show some concerns, and it didn't go to 5. So
Yeah, and I think on just to just a little pushback on some of the stuff I'm seeing in the comment sections is I just don't think, I don't know what the benefit it is to blowing out the opposition like in the first round of the playoffs. Like, I don't think it gives you an advantage because you destroyed, the first team you played. I think if there's like a little bit of adversity, it's better. Personally, the teams that I see go on big runs in the NHL generally have adversity pretty early and overcome it, and that's how you get momentum.
Yeah.
So if there was any adversity, I'd say like it was obviously Shurigan and his unbelievable play. It's probably a much different series if Saginaw scores in overtime.
Yeah,
in game 3. They might get another game off the Rangers just with momentum, but ultimately I think, we were happy with the 4 games. Four wins is 4 wins. So yeah. I don't care. There's no style points in the playoffs. That's not a thing.
And we're probably not going to face in the playoffs again a line as hard as that top line out of Saginaw. Like that top line is unbelievable. Like, they have no depth. So the fact that they held on in the way that they the 4th game, Saginaw didn't really hang on, but in the first 3 games, Saginaw did hang on, and that was primarily due to that top line and their goaltender. Like, there were basically 4 players keeping them in this.
Well, what I will say is they for sure will not face another duo that has as many points.
No, that's true.
Right? Like, that's absolutely the truth, just statistically.
So the next duo with as many points is on the Kitchener Rangers.
Exactly. Yeah.
Andrew, what's your 3 stars of this series? What's your who's your 3rd star? Or what is your 3rd star?
My 3rd star is the captain, Cameron Reid. I thought Cameron Reid had a huge series. He was basically, I think he was a point a game. He had 2 goals and 2 assists. So Cameron Reid had a game winner. It wasn't pretty. He just threw it on net, but that's playoff game winners for you. They can't, no style points in playoffs. So Cameron Reid, I thought, is really playing his best hockey of the year in those 4 games. I expect it will continue, and I'm really excited. And there was about 10 guys that I could have put as my 3rd star, but I'm going with Cam Reid. Who is your 3rd star?
Yeah, I agree. It was incredibly hard to put this list together because I could have picked lots of guys. Like, my honorable mention is Avery Anstis because he played so hard, but my 3rd star is Dylan Edwards for the exact same reason. He got off the snide on that last game, 2 goals. I called it that he would get off this because he'd been looking unreal this whole series. The kid just works so hard. Like, he's so good, and he works so hard in the corners, in the zone. He gets open. Like, he puts himself in the right places. He's like super defensively responsible. He just kind of he didn't get the massive points, but it wasn't because he was underperforming only in the points, and that was it. So
that's it. Agreed.
And he's kind of my 3rd star because I think he might be my 1st star in the next year. Like, that's kind of my prediction is he played so well in this series and just didn't quite get those points that I think he's going to get them all in the next series. So that's my 3rd star. Who's your 2nd star?
You mentioned your honorable mention, so just in the I have to honorably mention Alexander Bilecki.
Yeah,
had a massive series. Was that game 3 was a difference maker. Helped them win the game in that one with a goal and the assist that Luca Romano deposited for the overtime winner.
Yeah, Bilecki
again, another guy, Romano. You could, if you win an overtime game, you could be a star.
You should be.
However, I have to go with Sam O'Reilly.
Yeah,
for my 2nd star. Sam O'Reilly was incredible, as we knew he would be. I think now he's going to really shine in this Soo series. So, I mean, he had 5 points. 4 of them were huge goals. And he's going to continue to score big goals and win faceoffs and cause turnovers, just like he has since he's gotten to Kitchener.
Sam O'Reilly is the exact same, is my 2nd star as well, because of all those reasons. And yeah, he's such a clutch player. Like, he knows when to he can put the puck in the net when he needs to, and that's 2nd star material in my books.
Yeah.
Okay.
For sure.
I think our first star is the same, but who's your first star?
Humps,
Yeah.
Christian Humphreys,
Yep.
unbelievable series, 9 points in 4 games. You put up 9 points in 4 games, you're going to be the first star every time. He had 2 2-goal games, and he had a 4-point game in game 1, and he had the 3-point game in game 4. So just an incredible series from Humps. We knew that Humps was a talented player, but come playoffs, sometimes you can see more skilled guys shrink a little bit.
Yeah.
Humps is not that type of player.
No.
Humps loves the moment, loves the bright lights, and it's his own little Friday night light story. Like his dad, the fullback, probably played a lot of Friday nights. Humps is playing different Friday nights, but he is truly leading this team in more ways than one. I think he is a very underrated leadership component of this team, and just an all-around good dude off the ice. So it's nice to see him coming into his own, especially knowing his story coming from Michigan, and then now he's committed to Minnesota, which I don't even know if we've mentioned on the pod, because I think it happened in a little bit of a dead zone between our recordings.
Yep.
But he's committed to go to Minnesota. I have no idea if that's next year, but they're getting a heck of a player.
Oh, yeah.
Christian Humphreys, first star.
Yeah, I mean, he's my first star. He's amazing. You said some superstars shrink when the bright lights come on. Christian Humphreys, not a big guy, looks like the biggest guy on the ice when he's in the playoff mode. So we saw it last year too. He showed up when the playoffs came around, and yeah, he's a big guy on the ice, even though he's a little guy off the ice, but a big guy in spirit off the ice. Then the next series is against the Soo Greyhounds.
Soo,
Not
the Flint,
not
but
the Flint, the Soo. We've played them 4 times this year. They didn't go in the same direction that the Saginaw series went. So we lost 3 games to 1 win against the Soo, and 2 of those were in overtime.
Yeah, 2 of them overtime.
But the 3 that we lost, including the 2 in overtime, happened before we acquired Dylan Edwards. So that was before we made any trades.
Yes.
So it was right around the time we were learning about the Memorial Cup was our last game against the Soo. We've talked about this at length. The Soo kind of were in the Rangers' heads. They were big and physical and whatever. And then we played them on March 6th. So the full Rangers complement that we're about to see in the playoffs. And we smoked them 3-0. So,
and not only that, outshot them 37-25.
Yes.
And they had Carter George. So their big
Yes.
acquisition was Carter George from the Owen Sound attack. Owen Sound could have used him in the first round.
Yeah, no kidding.
Anyway.
Would have only been 7-0 games versus
yeah, right,
11-0.
exactly. Yeah, but so the real test of these two teams was that final game, and it was a dominant win by the Rangers.
It was.
It was also a very physical game, and there was a lot of fighting. 4 or 5 fighting majors for each team, and a bunch of misconducts.
Yeah,
so
mostly for the Rangers. Not exclusively for the Rangers. Mostly for the Rangers.
Mostly for the Rangers,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They're a big team. They've got some real high-end top talent, like their overager Marco Mignosa. He's been nominated for overager of the year along with Prids. He leads their playoff scoring with 10 points in 5 games. Brady Martin, of course, the Nashville Predator player. He has 7 points. Lucas Fisher's a big defenseman. Chase Reed is probably going to go in the first round this year. Yeah. There is some serious. Jordan Sharon is a good player.
Yeah.
He's an 18-year-old player. There's some really good players on the Soo. I just don't know what they're going to look like compared to, that last game in Kitchener, where Kitchener really kind of ran their show.
The one thing that the Soo had for them in our regular season games where we lost was Christopher Brown. He seemed to really show up and like playing against Kitchener. He scored a lot of points against us, but he's injured, so he's
banged up.
We'll see if he comes back in this series. We don't know. He didn't play the last game against London. That's all we know. We don't know what his injury is or how long it will be. So
the last 2 games.
Oh, he missed the last 2 games.
Yeah.
So hopefully this prolonged break between series will be enough, and he can go. my position is always the same. I never want players to be injured. I never want a team to lose because they had injured players. I always want to see the best of both teams, especially in the playoffs, because that is more interesting hockey to me. And then it also takes away all those qualifiers. Well, we could have won if, so-and-so wasn't injured. And, that would have been the difference maker. I hate that. Plus, I hate seeing young guys injured when they are in the prime spotlight moments of their careers and getting ready for the next stage of their careers. So, I don't want to see anybody injured. So Christopher Brown, hope he's back. Hope he doesn't put on a single point against the Rangers.
Yeah. I hope you play, and I wish you the worst.
I wish you the worst. Exactly. So we talked about this. It's been so physical. These games have been so physical. There was a little bit of animosity in that last game that we were just talking about, where we had everybody. There was some goalie runs. Some defensemen standing up for guys and stuff like that. As Andrew mentioned, a lot of misconducts. This series I think is going to just feel so different than the Saginaw series.
Yeah. I would imagine that this series will start similar to the Flint series last year, where that was crazy first period where they were all running around, hitting each other. There probably is going to be a scrap pretty early on in the game. Yeah. I know it's the second round, but both these teams are relatively fresh coming in after, Soo took out London in 5, Rangers only played 4, and they've had this big layoff.
Basically,
I think there's going to be
off.
A lot of build up for this game. So I would imagine that it's going to come out and be real heavy and physical. And this is where we're going to lean on Ando and Wooly early.
Yeah.
I would expect that the lineup will be the same going in for the Rangers. I haven't heard if Lachar has faced any
I feel like it would have
discipline.
happened by now.
Agreed. I agree.
But it could still happen. I feel like if we hear nothing by the end of today, I would suspect we're business as usual.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if the office closes until after Easter Monday, but I would expect they're back open today.
I would think so.
This is probably, I think, a series where you're going to need goals from Gabe Sherratt again, like playoff performer Gabe Sherratt, and you're going to need you're going to need your secondary scoring to win you this series. I think it's because you're going to have high-end opposition. Like, we know that Mignosa and Brady Martin are going to find the score sheet. They're going, Chase Reed and Quinn McKenzie. These are all guys who can fill the net. They're going to get scoring. So you're going to have, your top lines match them, which I know that Sam O'Reilly and Humps, and I believe Prids is going to start, filling the net. It doesn't matter because he's still setting up goals. But he's going to score some. And then I think you're going to really rely on Sherratt and Tanner Lamb and Luca Romano and that level of secondary scoring that you need.
I think that there's the one thing that we probably didn't experience against Saginaw was a high-end defensive pairing that can shut down maybe one of our lines. The Rangers are pretty deep. We saw line pairings that were different than we're used to at the start of the series, and they sort of morphed, and there was a bit of a blender at different times in the series against Saginaw, but we didn't see O'Reilly, Humps, and Pridham on the same line. We saw those separated into 2 lines, so there was 2 very strong top lines on the Rangers, and then if your third line is our third line, like, that's a second line on any good team, like on a great team, that is a third line. So you're going to see that. So you need that. The Soo doesn't have as deep of a team. Like, they have one really good line. They have like 2 or 3 really awesome defensemen. And then they start to thin out. Sort of their second line is an average second line, and then they sort of thin out through the end. So exactly what you said. The depth scoring on the Rangers needs to show up because, Wooly and Ando and Cam Reed are going to have hard defensive minutes against a really solid top line, and their guys are going to work against our top line. So, then it does become a second and third line shootout. There's two things that were interesting about the series that we played. I know that the Rangers were basically a different team in the first 3 games, but the Soo is very good at face-offs. They dominated us in those 3 games, and then it was close in the game where we had Sam O'Reilly, who is obviously one of the best face-off men in the OHL. So face-offs are tight, and the Soo is pretty good at shutting down our power play. Like we struggled with a little bit of power play stuff in the beginning of the season, so that might account for a little bit of it. But we only scored once on about 20 power plays against the Soo. So, we gotta make sure that our power play and our special teams take advantage when we do it. We didn't score a lot of power play goals in the Saginaw series either. So just making sure that the power play is going, I think that's going to be really important to winning this series.
Definitely. I mean, they went 0 for 5 in the game that they won against the Soo in the finale, the regular season finale they played between these two teams.
Yeah.
They went 0 for 5. I mean, they still won 3-0, but you go 0 for 5 and you're kind of making it harder on yourself. So I do believe in this power play. I think Saginaw did an incredible job of not losing to the power play.
Yeah.
Is what I will say is they had, well, first of all, they had their best penalty killer on the ice playing the best he's ever played in their goalie. And then they had this collapsing box that made that circle, shot that they love from the circle on either side. That wasn't really a play that they could make. So I'm hoping that the Rangers, if they need to make adjustments, they'll make more of an adjustment, because I felt like against Saginaw, they kind of were forcing it a little bit in the sense of they were going to beat Saginaw. They were going to beat Saginaw.
Yeah.
So like it was a war of attrition. Is like, we'll just grind you down. And then, like we said, all those point shots are what went in. But I kind of feel like if those point shots had have been more numerous to start with, it's not going to be a shorter series, but the games would have been a little further apart, I think. And I expect that the Soo is probably doing their homework and thinking, if we clog up these lanes, then maybe this power play can't hurt you. But ultimately, I think that the power play gets opportunities, starts converting. That's going to be one of the major differences. We also need to see Christian Kirsch play at a level of consistency that allows the Rangers to be playing from in front. Yeah. I think that as long as the Rangers are tied or ahead of the Soo, then likelihood of getting goalied by Carter George goes down, because you're not as desperate to score a goal, and you're not, doing things that you don't normally do when you have the lead against a good goalie. The funny thing about Kirsch's stats right now are his save percentage is an .890, which is a little below average, but for the OHL, it's you can win games with .890. But in the sense of his goals against average, it's below 2, 1.95.
Yeah.
And of course, he has the shutout. So here's the thing, what I'll say about goaltending critics. If the save percentage is below 900, but the goals against average is still below 2, you're going to win the championship. You might not like the way you're going to win the championship, but you're going to win. If you allow less than 2 goals per game, you're likely going to go all the way. Yeah. That's the bottom line. Like, that's just the bottom line. It's unheard of to do that all through the playoffs. But so I would imagine the goals against average goes up a little bit, and the save percentage also goes up a little bit. So he'll be saving more pucks, but there'll be, they might be, slightly more than 2 goals per game against, just because it's junior hockey. So I wouldn't worry about it. But yeah, the whole point is goaltending stats are super flawed, because you'll have guys. Well, let's look at Carter George. Carter George has a .942 save percentage. So he played out of his mind in the first series. Yeah. And he only has 1.41 goals against average. So incredible stats out of Carter George. However, the likelihood is that his goals against average is gonna go up in this series, while his save percentage might also just hover around .935. That might be what Carter George puts up in this series. Doesn't mean that they're going to win it. Goaltending stats are weird. Wins are the most important goaltending stat. I don't care what anybody says. That is literally the most important goaltending stat, because you play to win the game.
Yeah. Exactly correct. I was just going to look what Shurgan's save percentage, .894. Shurgan had a better save percentage, but he had 4.16 goals against average.
There you go.
Because because we put up 54 shots against him in one game.
I bet you his save percentage before that last game too was totally berserk as well. Like if you checked it.
Oh yeah, probably
before game 4.
Yeah,
it was probably much higher because game 4.
The Rangers put
definitely
161 shots against him, opposed to the 73 that Kirsch has faced. It's less than half, or more than double, depending on how you want to think about it.
And like our friend Babs said on the last pod, is that when you're not busy, it can be trouble in a different way. You can kind of your mind can wander, and especially at this level, you're cold and you're just standing there. Then there's ones that are going to beat you. So it's just the way it goes. But yeah, I mean Carter George is a second round pick, so these numbers are expected out of him.
Yep.
But
he's a goalie.
He has lost in previous series to better teams before, right? I mean, he's older now.
The goaltender can only do so much.
Well, he can't score, right? So if he's letting in 2 goals and the team isn't putting up the points, then it is what it is. That's the nature of goaltending. But it's going to be a tough test. I think it's great for the Rangers to be facing a goaltender like this right now, because if they get past the Soo and get past Carter George, I don't think that there's a goalie quite as skilled left. So you won't have to worry. I mean, they've already
they've already faced the toughest line probably in the OHL this season in these playoffs, and now
the toughest goalie.
You get past those two things, your final boss battle all of a sudden feels a lot easier. So
you're overpowered by this point. You have so much experience points.
Yes, all the experience points
that you can place into your abilities. Yeah.
Okay, so
I'm excited for this one. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, me too. I think this is going to be way more fun. So the series starts Friday, April 16th. That's game 1. Same schedule as the last series. Friday, Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. So if we make it to game 5, then there's a back-to-back. So that'll be interesting to see. And we'll be doing our mini episodes going into that. And that's what we're doing.
That's it.
Andrew, before we get to thank yous, I'm going to force you to talk about your movie is coming out this week. So please,
that's true.
I'm going to the premiere, but you tell us all the details. Invite people to the premiere. I don't know.
That's true.
This could come out before Thursday.
So I'm in a short film that has done the festival circuit. It premiered in Los Angeles and won Best Cast at the Sherman Oak Films Festival. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I stayed up here. I have yet to see this film, which is funny because it has gone to 4 different festivals. And now it is premiering at the Royal Cinema on College in Toronto, in Little Italy, in downtown Toronto. And it was directed by Chad Andrews, who also is opposite me in the film. It was written by Chad and producer Theo Vandergraaf. It's a really exciting 16 minutes with absolutely no fat, no filler. Yeah, it's called The Butchers. It's about 2 guys, Steve and Morgan, best friends, but they also happen to be murderous butchers. They sell their victim body parts on the black market, and they're not the brightest. So unfortunately, things take a turn for Steve and Morgan. I believe the idea is to make you like these 2 people who do bad things. So I think that's what I'm imagining when I was filming it, was that I'm hoping to somehow make this character relatable, even though the nature of this character is very evil and dark. But I'm hoping that people will get a few laughs, because it is a comedy. It is a dark comedy, and it was a ton of fun. And we shot it 2 years ago. So my son was just an ultrasound, which is funny how tied to this film that he is. And of course, now we have another child on the way, and I guess they'll be sneaking into the premiere with my wife at this moment. But yeah, if you want to come to the Butchers at the Royal Cinema, you can buy tickets on Eventbrite if you search the Butchers. Let me make sure that
we can put the link to that in the show notes.
Yeah, let's put the link to it.
Yep.
And I'd love to see you there, 7 p.m. on Friday.
I'll be there, so you can also come say hi to me and hang out. And
Exactly.
and then it's on Thursday, Andrew.
Yeah, Thursday the 9th, and then on Friday the 10th, it comes out on YouTube.
Yeah.
So you can watch it on YouTube and give it a thumbs up, and hopefully, more good things come for all of us who are involved.
We'll post a link to the YouTube in our stories on Friday so that you can take a look at that too if you want. We have to throw off our normal thank yous. First of all, we have to thank Tim so much for all of the work he's done to help us basically record an episode and put it out within 4 hours.
Definitely.
4 times.
Tim's turnaround time. It turns out that the secret to Tim's turnaround time is to give him as little as possible.
Yeah.
And then he will just deliver an incredibly polished product minutes after you've recorded it.
Yeah.
So thank you, Tim.
So thank you so much to Tim. Thank you to Babs, who jumped in twice, once by accident because he just wanted to go out for dinner with us after a game, and then we forced him to do a podcast, and then we didn't go out for dinner with him. And then the second time because I was having Passover with family and I wasn't able to watch Game 4 live, so he jumped in with you to do a live post-game reaction, which was awesome. So thank you to
he
Babs.
was all iced out.
He was all iced out. That's a life of having sponsors when you can ask for baguette ice.
So sponsorship.
Yeah,
we could get real baguettes. That would be great.
If anybody wants to, I'll put them behind me. I'll eat them on. Like if you want to make Tim's life miserable, give us the crunchiest bread you can and say we have to eat it while we record.
Deal.
Yeah. Of course, thank you to Ken Bourne, our director of branding and marketing.
Papa Bourne.
Thank you to our prodigal producer, Liam.
The Phenom.
I've been told that Liam was doing a little bit of research for us this week. He wanted to listen to our most recent episode and our very first episode to see where we had come. So I'm still waiting for notes on that. We'll see if we have those for next week. And Andrew, how do you find us on the social medias?
At the Odd Podcast on TikTok and Instagram, and you can search us up on YouTube or Google us, and check out our website, theoddpod.com. There's going to be some cool stuff coming before the end of the Memorial Cup / end of the playoffs. I will tease. For those 7 people listening to this, there's going to be something cool that we're going to implement, but we can't reveal it yet.
And of course, you can please subscribe to any of those places to follow us for all this content. And after this moment, you're going to hear a new supercut of the last 4 mini episodes. And Andrew, for round 2, game 1 against the Soo Greyhounds, you can find us at
the Kitchener Memorial Auditorium.
See you at the Odd. Hey, Andrew.
Hey, Justin.
Hey, guys.
What are you doing in my car?
Hey, Babs.
I just hang out here sometimes.
Well, welcome to our little immediate reaction, the road to the Robertson, which is why we're in a car and no other reason.
For no other reason other than that's where we are. Okay, game 1 against Saginaw was tonight.
6-4.
6-4.
Got a little.
We won. We won, and that is mostly the highlight. Yeah, Babs, what did you see? That was a game.
Unbiased observer.
Unbiased observer. They're just trying to force plays a little bit, but they were conservative so that they weren't going to make mistakes. So it's kind of fine, but they got to just shoot the puck a little bit more instead of trying to make those passes. But Saginaw might have discovered that you have to play the 1-3-1. So if we start seeing that happen, that could be a problem.
Do you agree that there was just basically no intensity until the third period?
Well, they were just playing smart and conservative, and they weren't trying to blow things up or trying to run away with it. You get too eager. They came in very tempered.
I agree with that, and I think that was strategic, but I think it started to have diminishing returns at a certain point. It felt to me like there is a brand of Rangers hockey that we didn't see tonight. It's funny because I was watching everything under a microscope of having 2 people who were visiting from the U.S., not Saginaw fans, just literally people who happen to be in the Kitchener-Waterloo region.
Who love hockey.
And they love hockey, and I was kind of amped up to be like, oh yeah, hockey at the Odd, and it was just kind of all right, and we were standing to come up from the concourse, and we just heard 2 guys being like, doesn't really feel like a playoff game. And I without ragging on the team too much, that's kind of the vibe.
We were on CTV News last week, and I specifically said, game 1 of the playoffs is so exciting because the Odd is bumping. And it was not bumping.
But if you cut in just on the section when the smoke was off after a goal, it does look like you're in Europe.
Can you elaborate further?
European soccer fans letting off the flares and going crazy.
Oh,
Fair.
yeah. Okay.
But yeah, I think you're right about the 1-3-1. I felt like they were forcing them to the outside, and the Rangers were just kind of spamming that play, right?
Yeah.
Like, and it wasn't working. And I, I'm not the type of hockey fan who's like yelling shoot, but I did love
It
when
felt like
Cameron Reed just threw it at the goalie, and it just happened to go in because they were due for a couple bounces. The bounce off Humphrey's skate and then like he corralled it and scored on the power play. That was huge.
What a celebration. Oh.
Can we talk about the absolute miss of the goal judge to put the sirens off? And then,
Ando's putting his hand up like, what's going on? That was on the Pridham breakaway where he went off the post very clearly. And we're last row. You're press box. We all were like, that wasn't a goal. What's
going on?
I mean, the goalkeeper or the goal scorer just got so used to Pridham on a breakaway that he just expected a goal. We all did. Yeah. I mean, he beat the goalie. He just didn't beat the post.
he just hit it was square on the post.
Oh, yeah.
I'm shocked that they weren't like,
I know.
Thank God the lights didn't go out.
I would like,
I've been to that game too.
Known to happen.
Okay, so we got two Sam O'Reilly goals. We got two Christian Humphreys goals. We got an Ando goal and a real rando
Game
winner Cam Reed. Ando insurance goal. Waiting for that sponsorship.
That's true. We are waiting. Patented hold for sponsor. All right. I think realistically they need to be more physical. They need to play with a little bit more reckless abandon. I think like they were measured on purpose. It felt like they were measured on purpose, but it felt like it was maybe too little of the chaos that they kind of need to create.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. PK wasn't awesome. PP was awesome.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
That's
well,
where we are.
What I will say is they were very disciplined. They didn't take penalties like left and right. It was very disciplined.
I mean, speaking of the penalties, the whistles were away for most of this game. Mm-hmm. They got pulled out a little bit when it kind of was a little bit too crunchy of a game all of a sudden. But
yeah, I mean, I don't want to say that Kitchener benefited from the calls, but the bottom line is like they were calls that I think that had to be made. Like I said, unbiased observer. Like, what did you see with the officiating?
Game one, usually they're trying to set a tone and like say, hey, this is our standard of officiating. And I think they did a good job. They were getting so annoyed on the face-off. They were really getting frustrated with the guys jumping in or a guy moving his stick early, whatever it might have been. In the 5 or 6 cases, I saw the players yapping at them. So that's something that I'm going to be like, okay, are they going to like eventually be like, let's see another one of these weird penalties that you never see called for I'm spacing on the word of it now. The face-off
infraction.
Face-off infraction. Yeah.
Because what happened? There was one point when there was a draw in the Kitchener end, and the Saginaw player took his gloves off and was like,
that was strange.
That was really weird.
That was kind of like why are we not just dropping it at this point? Like it was kind of
it was just. They were.
Get a goal,
I think the ref was eventually getting so sick of it, so I think that could play into things later on in terms of if they might game manage a little more.
I think there's one thing that we do have to talk about, okay? The because I know the fans are going to talk about it. The differential in shots, okay, and the goals on Kirsch. They're going to look at the stats, and they're going to look at the goals against, and they're going to look at the saves made, and they're going to have the same old thing that they have. But like at least 2 of those goals, I saw just like total defensive meltdowns in front of them. Like, would you, if any, put the goals on Kirsch tonight, or like I just saw breakdowns. Yeah, like I saw 3 guys like basically fall back and leave a guy at the point open. Like nobody took him.
Yeah, like maybe like half the goals were definitely like off of a mislaps in coverage, but
so you can live with 2, right? But like it's like I don't want to hear this like this narrative that's being spun a little bit that that the save percentage isn't where it needs to be, because listen, they got away with a win is a win. Now we can like tighten up. We talked to some fans before the game, and they said that it seems like they play tighter in front of Schaub's. I'd like to see some of that defensive zone tightness around Kirsch, right?
I think maybe the players were listening to the AudPod a little bit too closely, because we hyped up Klepov a little too much, and they left Barabanov too open, and he became the problem. Now, we did say that Barabanov would also be a problem, But when you're got two guys on Klepov and nobody on Barabanov, that's a different problem.
Yeah, and I think they had a little bit more time. Like that, there was the one that basically they teed up for that slap shot
that
goal.
crazy
They had a
snipe.
little bit more time. There was a little bit of like panic, which I think was because they thought maybe I'm not how they thought, but I think as a fan that I didn't think it was going to be a close game. I didn't think it was going to be a runaway, but I didn't think it was going to be a close game.
Yeah, it was a lot closer than I wanted it to be.
I had fun.
Should we be worried about goaltending?
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought coming into this. I was like, yeah, I don't think we need to be worried about goaltending. At least especially if the team is only going to allow shots on the goaltender 2 out of 3 periods.
Yes. Yeah, no shots in the third period is pretty impressive by everybody. Okay, this is our post-game instant reaction to game 2 against Saginaw, round 1. I said so many words there, but
And
this
you
is where we
didn't
are.
even say the name of the series, The Road to the Robertson.
This is the road to the Robertson. Urgh. We threw the normal release schedule out the window for the playoffs. We're coming at you fast and hard with new episodes all the time. So just make sure you're subscribed to wherever you want to listen to us.
Okay,
so
let's get into this game.
This game was another terrifying 2 periods. That's how I felt.
I wasn't so much terrified. I just thought that there was a chance here that the Rangers were going to get goalied.
Yeah, they felt like they might get goalied.
Shurigan is a strong goaltender. He played really well. I mean, it was kind of a complete opposite game in the sense of the first game was very much high scoring, and the second game seemed like nobody was going to be able to beat either Tandy after 40 minutes because it was scoreless. I also felt like the officiating was kind of the opposite a little bit too, where the Rangers seemed they could do no wrong in the first game. The only penalty they had in the first game was a coincidental, so they never had any penalty kills. In this one, it seemed like there was a little bit of maybe a skew towards the Rangers in heading to the penalty box. I was a little bit. There was a few calls that I was a little bit like, okay, you didn't call that, and then shortly after the Rangers are on the penalty kill because you're calling penalties again. I don't know.
It didn't really feel like Saginaw could get called for hooking, slashing, cross-checking, or holding.
Holding, yeah.
Yeah, that
Holding
seemed like
especially.
That seemed like the 4 that was like they were just off the table for Saginaw to take a penalty.
They did eventually get a holding penalty, and it was Klepov, and it was early in the third, but it also came with a Sam O'Reilly diving penalty at the same time. So it wasn't even, they got called on a hold, but it was immediately nixed by the embellishment penalty.
Those London acting classes must be really good. Like, it's really held on to him there. Like,
Not good enough. Not good enough.
I guess, not good enough because
not good enough.
Didn't
They
get away with
sniffed
it
out. But
Yeah.
it doesn't matter because he scored his third in 2 games to open
man.
the scoring early in the third, and that's kind of when I felt like, okay, all right, here we go.
Yeah,
This
they just
is-
needed to beat Shergren. They needed to beat him once.
Yeah, it just kind of had to happen. Obviously, Humps had a chance early in the game on the penalty shot. I actually thought he just did a little too much.
Yeah.
I don't love when you're, maybe in the shootout, I don't mind that like slow approach and you're doing like 100,000 moves, but on a penalty shot in the game, I think the pressure and the speed is often, I think, to your advantage to just go in at full speed, but it didn't matter.
No. In the end, it didn't matter, but in the moment, it felt like it might be the game breaker because it could have gone the other way.
And there was a few times where they seemed to not be able to put the puck in the net despite having an open net. And I thought, is this going to be a game that they lose like 2-1 or something, and yet they had like 3 or 4 scoring chances and they just couldn't. It worried me a little bit. And then obviously, as the game went on, it was clear that the defense was playing very tight, the same way we talked about the defense playing tight in front of Schabel. I very much felt like the defense was playing, and the team defense was playing much tighter in front of Kirsch. And we saw that really take over in the third period.
couldn't even get a shot on net in the third period.
No.
Did Saginaw.
Yeah, there was a couple things that I noticed anyways. The first period, the Rangers came out a lot hotter than they did in game one. That was nice to see. We saw in the second period that Saginaw came out in their very heated way in the second period in the exact same way they did in game one, but the Rangers were able to turn the script and not let them take the whole period. The Saginaw took the first 10 minutes. Rangers took the second 10 minutes, pretty dominant. Pretty much at the 30-minute mark of the game, the Rangers put their foot on the gas and never let up. Like at that point,
I agree.
The game never went back to Saginaw.
That's pretty much how I saw it too.
Yeah.
I thought the first period was there was some chances for both teams, and I felt like the first half of that second period was pretty much all Saginaw, and the Rangers were reeling a little bit. The one thing I noted in this game, all three periods it happened, and it could be an issue, is the Rangers turning the puck over on the offensive blue line. It is an issue that a lot of teams have. It causes rush chances. A lot of times teams score on them. Saginaw didn't. They did a good job of getting back and recovering, and it wasn't necessarily like an ugly turnover by any means. It was just like sometimes it was like a blocked shot, or like, you tied up at the line and you're not able to move that puck into the corner. It's a dangerous play. I think that's the one thing that I think the Rangers could eliminate from their game, is holding onto that puck at the blue line a little bit too much, because you will get those 2-on-1s, you will get those breakaways going the other way, and in the playoffs that can be a momentum killer.
I saw it seemed like Saginaw was also pretty good at holding their line. Like that was something that I didn't really know about Saginaw coming into this series, is they are pretty good at holding their own line against the Rangers, and like you're saying, that does tend to go to rushes the other way as well. So
yeah,
one thing that they need to clean up is a little bit getting into the zone.
They're fully playing the 1-3-1, so like it's basically a trap for Saginaw. That you'll have three guys across and one man back, and it's really difficult to get the puck in because
and
Kitchener
did Babs
likes to
give them that knowledge?
No, because they were already doing it. But Kitchener loves to carry the puck in and loves to finesse their way in and pass it. Once they get in and set up, the turnovers at the blue line, that's what I'm talking about more, is when they're cycling the puck in the zone. There's so many times where it's like, you have a lot of time, but if you turn that puck over there, you have guys going back the other way. Saginaw maybe less so, but if they get into the next round, I'm not looking that far ahead, but if they get into the next round, they can, obviously. If they're playing a stronger opponent, you do not want to be turning that puck over and get caught flat-footed at your opponent's blue line. We could do a quick scoring summary because we can though, because I want to. Yeah, because it all happened in the third period. So Sam O'Reilly scores his third in 2 games. Gabe Sherratt scores his first of the playoffs for the patented insurance goal. Hold for sponsorship. Tanner Lamb was buzzing, had to get one. And Cameron Reed gets his second of the playoffs. So those were the goal scorers. Everybody was dominant in that third period. They could have had probably 6 or 7 tonight.
Who could have had 3 goals in this game was Dylan Edwards.
For sure.
He had an unbelievable game I think he got an assist, but I don't think he got, he obviously didn't score, but he should have scored.
He had 2 assists on the first and on the last. He really was all over the ice. He actually had that. There was that one play, and I thought about what Mike McKenzie said, was we brought him in because when you need him to win a game for you, he can do it. And there was this one play where he just walked through like 2 defenders and got behind the last defender, and he didn't score, but it felt like, oh, here we go. Now we're going to score. This is it. That also reminds me of the Tanner Lamb. He had basically, it was a breakaway. He was alone in front of the crease, and there was a obvious hook that wasn't called. Yeah. So I was a little bit annoyed with that, but I'm glad.
Well, that's one of the 4 that
Tanner Lamb. Yeah, I know, right? I'm glad Tanner Lamb got a goal, because he deserved at least, that much.
Yeah, this was a good defensive game too. Ando really pushed up the grittiness of his game. There was some more clean hits. And obviously Wooly had prepped that fight to start the first period, so that sort of got the Rangers going a bit. And then we saw Campbell on the PK take about 13 shots before they killed that penalty. So that dented suit cam probably has botulism for sure at this point.
Well,
so.
he was the first star too, because he's the one who threw that puck at the net in the third period. To which, do you want to tell the AudPod audience what you texted me when you were watching that replay?
No. Okay, I did think Sam O'Reilly had kicked it. There looked like there was a deliberate motion, but I'm glad that they didn't see that the same way I did.
We'll take it.
Yeah, I'll take it. It's no problems here.
At some point, it's gonna go the other way in these playoffs, and we're just gonna have to live with it.
No, I will not. This is a biased podcast where I do not take takes back. And I can't believe you outed me on that. So here we are.
I had to, because it came in. The text came in late on my side, so I had seen that it was called a good goal, and then the text came in, and I was like, no, not a kick.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't a kick.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah,
it wasn't.
Shots.
Yeah. And if you took them from the point, they probably went past him.
The point was a good place to shoot from.
That seemed like it
49 high danger shots in the low slot were not the weakness.
I know. The closer you are to him, it's like some sort of weird video game boss fight. It's the closer you are to this goalie, the more likely he is to absorb the shot.
Everything.
Yeah. And the further you are away, the more likely you're going to get it past him. It was a strange one, I would say.
It was a strange one. Okay, this was game 3 against Saginaw. The Kitchener Rangers now lead the series 3-0 after a 4-3 overtime win. Did not expect to see it.
Overtime victory. Yeah.
Overtime.
It was,
grunting from Andrew this week. How very nice.
It was one of those games where I think you and I both had moments where we were like, oh, I think they might lose this game. And it wasn't for lack of faith. It was just like something frustrating was happening. And for two different reasons, we were like, this is going to go against us. But they powered through.
The game 1 and game 2, I spent the first 2 periods of both of those games going, I don't know if they can do it. And then they won. And then this game, I was like, I spent the first 2 periods going like, oof, this is going to be too easy. And then it almost wasn't.
Yeah, and I really felt like I have a lot. I don't have a lot to say about the first and the third and even the overtime, but the second period I have a lot of notes on. Some of the good things that I will talk about just in general. I saw a lot more dumping and chasing from the Rangers tonight. I think they've made those adjustments that they're not just going to try and carry it along the boards into the zone. And the zone entries were extremely successful. So they didn't always dump and chase, but just mixing in some of the dump and chase, there was a lot more open lanes entering the zone. So
if they think about how you're going to enter the zone, then
exactly.
it's more likely that you can enter
It's
the
not
zone.
just an outlet pass to a winger. Yeah,
every time. Yeah.
So that was really, really good. I mean, it got started really on the right foot with an Andalorian goal, which was the first one from the point, right? And I wrote down more shots from distance because I noticed it a little bit. I think in the first game that he struggled a little bit with shots from further away, and I especially think about that weird angle Cameron Reed game winner that they just kind of threw on net. He's very a reactionary goalie. Like his reactions are incredible.
Oh yeah.
But I think maybe if he has a weakness, it's the positioning. So if he can't see it and it's from further away, there's more net than there is when you're closer to him or on a breakaway, as we've found out.
Saginaw has obviously pre-scouted the Rangers really well because they clog up those passing lanes in the high slot and in the low slot very well. So
they
all of a sudden
collapse.
there's a lot of bodies between the point and the goalie. So getting some of those through is a challenge.
They collapse. The Rangers do love that low circle side play. and that's just not there. That's
No,
just,
it's
that's
not
just
available
there.
in this
It's
series.
just not there.
But now if they start shooting from the point, it could open up.
Yeah, and they had a power play in that first period, and I wrote like the power play needs to create more chaos, and that's exactly when they were successful, was when they were taking shots from the point and creating chaos in front of Shurigan. It was a lot of kind of like figuring that out, I think, through the game. But yeah, that and it's that low box that collapsing box that they're playing in the defensive zone, and it's just really successful against some of the things that the Rangers usually do. I think some of the Kirsch detractors will have a little bit more ammo in this one, but what I will say is he did have a couple of 10 bell saves that kind of nullified some of the easier. There's basically only 2 goals that I think I'd like to see him have back. It was a crazy assist in that first period that Klepov had, but like Kirsch needs to keep that glove higher. I will say that has been one of his Achilles heels throughout the
Stop
season.
telling them.
Yeah. They know. They already know. If I know, they already know. But it was the same within the second period. You'd love to have that 5-hole goal back. However, like less than a minute later, he saves like one of his best saves of the game. So it's it's easy to say, well, look at let's look at the shots, but the quality of chances from that big line. And Kirsch being able to stop them. There were a couple of game-saving saves that he did make.
Let's pretend it's December 23rd and it's Festivus, and you have a list of grievances about the second period. Let's get into it.
Okay, but that double minor was Diricola! Ridiculous. He's already in the books going to the box, and yeah, he gets into it with the defenseman, but like, that happens a million times.
Yeah, they never.
I don't know why you're doubling up in the playoffs on that. It's because they're down 2-0 and they're the 8th seed. I don't believe it's anything else. There was a chance in the second period. Cameron Reed kind of had a chance. It wasn't so much a grievance, but like, you'd love to see him bury that there. It was kind of a 2-on-1 turned into a breakaway. But again, Shurigan is just so good. But it all culminates with a bad penalty at the end of the second where Woolley shoots it. And what I will say that Woolley shot it at the defenseman, and I guess they gave him a roughing call rather than unsportsmanlike. I don't know. Weird stuff.
Very
going
weird.
On with
there was a bunch of those weird calls where I was like, that's not
the call.
Like I'm like, sure, give him a penalty, but also get the call right.
But what I will give the Rangers their flowers big time on that double minor penalty kill. Woolley and Ando actually, like, I know I'm going to criticize Woolley again at some point in this. I think you are too. But Woolley and Ando were huge on that double minor. And I think Ando probably had one of his best games as a Ranger. It was very low key, but he was, I think, one of the best players on the Rangers tonight. And it was because they had no chances when he was on the ice. Like he was a standout for me. And he had a takeaway on Barabanov down in the slot. I was like, oh man, that saved a goal on that power play, and we gotta take credit for saying Bilecki's getting double-digit goals, because he didn't get them in the regular season, but he did get his 10th. So that's 9 in the regular season and 1 in the playoffs. So I'm taking credit on that.
And it was a beautiful shot too.
Oh yeah,
man. Whenever he doesn't get that many shots, but when he does it right.
Very selective.
I remember early in the season, I said, remember we were watching that Bilecki period, and we remember he had that, like, the light bulb came out above his head, and he just realized he could be a part of the play, and he's never let up. His confidence has just grown since. It's been so awesome. Back to your Ando point, all I wanted to say on that is just that anybody who was saying, why are we bringing Ando back? This is why, because Ando, he has that next level where he can fill in whatever he needs. This isn't the Ando that played last year. Like, he almost looks like a completely different player now than he did a year ago at this time. But it's because he knows what he needs to do, and he fills in the roles at the right times. And I mean, the goal off the top was beautiful, but he's not there to score goals. He's there to play hard defense against 2 of the top players in the league.
Yeah, I mean he also had a beautiful pass from the high point to that cross ice down low to that circle play that they like to get to, and it didn't result in anything, but it was just such a silky smooth pass. The guy is just a more dynamic player this season.
For sure.
There's less pressure, I think, in the sense of like he's not the captain and he's got another towering, monstrous, aggressive defenseman playing on his opposite side. So I think it's just one of those like natural things where he can play a little bit looser. He doesn't necessarily always have to be that aggressive hitting presence. He can kind of pick and choose his spots, which he did get off a big body check in this one as well. But he can be a little bit more responsible, and I think that's when he's at his best, because he is a very good, responsible defenseman.
He does need to be more responsible, because Woolley went a little bit on the irresponsible side this time. So yeah, there was the shot at the end of the second period that should be a penalty, and then there was the like running, checking from behind, which also was a roughing penalty, I think, which I was like, okay.
Yeah, hit him right in the numbers. That was weird because he was back checking, and the Saginaw player was turning at the exact time, but that's why you can't take a run at a guy that far away, because there's too many variables there.
And he didn't hold up at all. Like when he turned, there, even if he had tried to hold up a little bit, he would have still hit him, but he wouldn't have hit him as like
and I mean
as he did.
There was the third period, it started with a really good penalty kill from the Rangers, which was important, and then there was a great opportunity, I thought, from Hayden Ellis, who I thought has looked really good in this series. He hasn't really factored in too much, but again, he's not playing a role necessarily where he has to do that, but he has been, I think, a positive player.
Yeah. Well, he got 4 shots. I mean, it's hard to talk about shots on the Rangers tonight when they got 54 shots, but he did get 4 shots tonight, so it's like
he did. I think like the Woolley hit was really reckless, and it leads directly to the Klepoff one-timer power play goal.
Yeah.
And again, like that's the one that I can't put on Kirsch, because it's a bad play that goes into a third period power play, and they're at home, and we both kind of thought, I think, at that moment that like this could be the one that gets away from them. The player that I really got to give props to, that I think is gone to a next level, not just Ando, is Gabriel Sherratt. He is a playoff player.
Oh yeah, he's a gamer, man. That goal to tie it up in the third, it couldn't be more clutch at that moment.
Desperately, and he's just like a physical along the boards player. I'm really excited because he didn't necessarily mesh right away. He didn't really explode offensively like Dylan Edwards or Sam O'Reilly has coming over. So it was kind of like, I was like, what does he bring in the playoffs? He's been completely like invaluable to the Rangers. He's just exactly what they need in that position. He's playing that third line wing. It's just like, it just brings another element of scoring and physical play. And then I don't know what you want to talk about overtime, because it was all Rangers.
It was all Rangers.
I don't even know.
Saginaw didn't even get it. They didn't even get a shot, I don't think, in overtime.
They barely
nor
touched
even
the
a
puck.
look in the offensive zone.
They looked spent. It looked like they
have one line that they played for 40 minutes in the first 3 periods. Like there's you'd be dead.
You want to talk about the time on ice stat not being available. It's probably because of games like this, where see Klepoff and Barabanov and Jilkin with like a 46-minute game.
We'll have to listen to Rangers talk tonight with Mike Farwell to learn how many minutes he was on. The only other thing I wanted to say was Dylan Edwards still snake bitten, even though I know he got 2 assists last game, but he got 11 shots and 10 were high danger in this game.
Still no goals.
20% of the shots in this insanely high scoring or high shooting game. Dylan Edwards did not score.
I mean,
dude's gonna put in 7 in one of these games at some point.
Yeah, because he's due to positively regress. Right?
Yeah,
I think Jack Pridham's
in the same boat. I was gonna say the exact same thing.
Exactly, and we got to give our boy Luca Romano props for depositing the overtime winner. And
I think I would have put him in this category of regression needing if he didn't score this goal. And man, clutch goal. looked amazing.
And you know what? He did it first round last year in the
Yeah.
playoffs as well. He loves the overtime winner.
He loves the pressure.
Bilecki with the shot, and the rebound goes to Romano, and he scores. And you know what? That's Bilecki had a great game.
Yeah.
Romano needed that one, and they're up 3-0. And let's finish them off Thursday. Game 4, the sweep is complete. What'd you see tonight, Babs?
It was pretty violent at points. I thought Grew tried to kill Jack Pridham.
Oh, yeah.
It was a pretty senseless move on his part, too, because he was beating him to a puck that wasn't probably a high threat. Like it was just kind of like a nothing burger zone exit. So unfortunate there. Lachar, that was stupid.
Yeah, that
wasn't good.
There was some stupid stuff that happened tonight in a blowout game.
I don't love seeing that in a blowout of a game on either side. I don't know if Lachar is going to face any discipline as a result of the play. I doubt it. You just don't need to.
Yeah,
you know?
Absolutely. I think it was a bit of a strange game energy wise. Like Sam O'Reilly started the scoring pretty early on. I will give props. Justin said that Dylan Edwards is due to score about 7 goals, but he almost had a hat trick tonight. So he had 2, and then had a breakaway later in the game, and was stoned on that. And Shurigan, we got to give him his flowers. He played so well in this series. This series could have been an absolute runaway, but Shurigan kind of kept it somewhat close. Of course, the final score being 5-1 tonight. But I thought Saginaw looked like they were kind of just okay to go down the way that they were going down tonight. And that's not to put them down, but it was a little bit like I thought there'd be a little bit more fire out of this team, but it is what it is. Yeah, go. He that was stupid. You could have really injured Pridham there. I was heated. I was fired up. I was texting things to the group chat that will not be repeated on the pod. But yeah, he can essentially go home to his billet parents and pack his stuff and be done with the OHL is what James Go can do. I also saw the running of the goalie, the flyby. I got to mention that. It was weird. It was just unnecessary.
It was just a stick. That's a game within a game thing that I actually low key love.
Yeah.
When guys get silly.
It was too late though.
Yeah, and if the goalie's not in his blue paint or a little bit further out, even, I think they just let it go and they're like, whatever,
Sure.
these guys are doing their thing.
Sure.
Also, given the context of the penalties prior to that, I dropped the video of my reaction to the first period in 4 or 5 minutes because it was just insane.
Yeah.
Just they're trying to kill each other, but they're going to war. I saw that and went as a referee, I don't know if I'm going to necessarily want to get involved in that one, especially because your goaltender really likes to kind of mix it up a little bit. He gets in there.
Yeah.
So I thought that was one of those ones where I'm like, whatever. But they call it and then immediately score.
Yeah, they did. And I could kind of see the air being let out of the balloon there slowly after that one. That was kind of the one that, Dylan Edwards had 2 in the first period, right? So it's it's a 3-0 after 1. Then, like you said, you got to the second period. Lachar had a moment. He has moments. I love the intensity. I love the line he plays on. I think he gets a little emotional sometimes. I think seeing Pridham potentially injured, he got a little emotional. I understand that. There was only 1 goal in this period because it was mostly the Rangers playing keep away, I felt like in the second period, but Humps did have a nice goal. Christian Humphreys scored. And then the third period was literally just the Rangers penalty parade. It was frustrating. They killed 3 back to back off the beginning of the third, but it was just kind of a sleepy period after that. It was one team was ready to go home and the other's ready to go to the second round.
Yeah, I think you got to buy in on the ref side too on that one where they're like, hey, we've warned them a bunch of times. So we're just going to start calling the game the way they did. And I think it's an efficient way to make sure that no nonsense really starts to spiral up, especially, you look, if there's a clear slash, you got to call that. And they're able to ice the game like the ice I have on my wrist tonight. But it was a fantastic display. I'm shocked that you haven't addressed the fact that I look like a ridiculous person right now.
Well, Babs, I wasn't going to say it, but I thought maybe you're trying something else out, and it's maybe you're having a pre-married man crisis. Maybe you're I know you're engaged to be married, and potentially maybe you're just going through something here. So I'm not going to comment on people's appearances.
I needed for my hockey skits where I play the douchey player to have some stuff to really amp it up. So I got a brand to send me a bunch of stuff for free.
Perfect.
So I have an iced baguette on my wrist. I figured it'd be a good throw to want to talk about them icing the game, because it's good for Kitchener to be able to get the series done early, because you don't want to see these first round playoff matchups where it's an overmatched system. Like, you don't want to see the other team snag a game, because what you're looking at is just the risks of injury. It's going to get higher and higher. The team that's getting beat up on, they're going to get more frustrated. The OHL first round, it's usually a bloodbath. Everyone talks about it. Yeah, maybe, some of these games shouldn't necessarily get the way they are. Like one of the other series that had maybe, I think it was 36 goals. I mean, I look at that and go, isn't that a little much?
Yeah.
But you run the risk of guys running each other. So I'm glad Kitchener was able to ice this one out, and we can move on to a little bit more competitive hockey. Although Saginaw at points looked like they could keep the goals tight. I don't want to say that they kept it close, but they kept it tight. And then it would just kind of fall off by the time the third period came around or whatever. And then tonight was just a sorry start. So.
Yeah, absolutely. They were in it. It wasn't a complete runaway like that Flint Owen Sound series you were talking about that set the record for goal differential. I think they were plus 32 in a 4-game sweep.
I felt bad making that video.
In that sweep. That was, something else. I kind of sat there thinking about, aren't the Rangers the number 1 seed? How did they not get Owen Sound? But, Saginaw, they had moments. They had the goaltending, and ultimately they just didn't have the horses. You probably have access to the time on ice. Klepov and Barabanov and Zhilkin, they had to play 150 minutes in 4 games.
One of those situations too,
I'm interested,
where if you're a player, that weighs on you.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah.
Emotionally and physically. Because if you're the guy and you're sitting there going I got to get a goal. I got to get this done. Eventually, you're going to start to resent your teammates in some capacity, no matter how good of a player, how good of a teammate you possibly are. There is that. And you're going to be looking to people saying, when is it going to be you? Can you do something, please? And, that's not a good position to be in. So, yeah, I think you're 100% right on that one, man. I don't think there's any way they win without those two having, career playoff series.
Yeah,
it's just
those two especially. They were basically all of the offense. They were the only ones that the Rangers seemed to have any trouble with as far as puck possession. It was just one of those things where, look, I'm an Oilers fan, so you're giving me a little bit of PTSD there, where you were saying it's got to be somebody else. It was the worst of the Draisaitl McDavid days and the zero depth, but it was times 1,000, because Klepov and Barabanov all year have had this incredible weight on their shoulders, and it just wasn't going to happen against a team that prides itself on depth. I mean, Gabe Sherratt's on the third line. It's 3 lines that can score, and then honestly, Avery Anstis, he hasn't had much ice time in this series, but he's a guy who can score as well, and he plays extremely well, and he's down on the fourth line because there's no room to put him anywhere else. So I ultimately was worried that Klepov and Barabanov might be able to steal a game. And
a game or 2 games.
Yeah.
They're both very, very, very talented players. I'm big on both.
Yeah.
So,
and especially with that goaltender, the way he was playing. He's playing out of his mind. He was playing an awesome series. This game obviously got away from him a little bit early, but I mean, I think the Rangers by early second period already had almost 30 shots on him. So it was...
Yeah. I saw at one point it was 25-5, and I'm sorry, but that's it. That's a wrap.
Yeah.
You're not going to be able to be very competitive in that situation. It's tough. They probably played a lot.
Absolutely.
And as the goaltender too, you get peppered for a certain period of time over a certain amount of games, and you're not going to be able to keep all the pucks out of the net. You can maybe, like I said, steal a game. Your shooters can shoot and get you in a half decent spot, but the combination of the two is just not an ideal spot. Prime Carey Price wouldn't have been able to do a whole lot in his junior career if he was just transplanted into this team right now.
Right.
You would look at it and go, oh yeah, Kitchener won 4-1.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's a difference of a goal.
Yeah.
Because after a certain amount of shots, they they will go in.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so now just one of the things that kind of stuck out to me was Jack Pridham held without a goal. He did contribute. He did have assists. He was definitely an effective player. But if you told me that he wasn't going to have a goal in this series, I would have kind of been like, all right, well, did Kitchener struggle or what's the deal there? So we saw Dylan Edwards regress positively in this one. He hadn't had a goal. He had 11 shots on net and 10 high danger chances in game 3. So it was going to come. Jack Pridham, I'd like to see him shoot a little bit more. What's your take on Jack Pridham having less goals than Matthew Andonovski through the first playoff series?
Yeah, like Ando it's a good swan song situation for him. He's really, putting it all out there. So it's credit to him on that. Some guys get addicted to the pass. I've noticed it more and more when you get into tighter games. That's usually when that type of player shines the most with that. Where they really want to pass the puck. Some guys just, that's it. Mitch Marner and there was a lot of situations where Mitchie would make a great pass and they'd score, but he could easily have shot. Not to glaze him, but it's just a high pressure playoff situation. You don't want to make the mistake. You want to be a good teammate. You think too much, and then that's how it goes. But Pridham's also a fantastic passer too. So it's not one of those situations where it's a shooter passing.
Oh,
like he's got the ability to do both quite effectively. So that's just, you just gotta go on. The more playoff games they play too, the less they're gonna have these thoughts. They'll just kind of get into the rhythm and go. And then when they have more competitive games too, I think that will also lead to some of your top players kind of pocketing those pucks.
That's true. And you got to think that, we talked to Jack Pridham in the offseason right before the season began, and he said, the individual awards are great, but winning is the overall goal, which I know is like, that's the hockey response, but it's also like the response you want to hear as a fan. So I'm glad that wasn't so much of a worry. I think he will get going in more competitive games. I think it seemed like there was a little bit of pressure on them compared to Saginaw, in the sense of like all the pressure was on the Rangers. They had to basically win, they had to sweep them, or else it was going to be like, wow, Saginaw got a game off them. And obviously they, almost got goalied in game 3 with Shurigan stopping 50 of 54. But I see, Prid's probably breaking out, and he's due for a couple for sure. And the other thing I wanted to touch on was Cameron Reid being a point per game player. He was just a bit underneath that in the regular season. But Cameron Reid obviously is not just an offensive defenseman. I know you saw at least a couple games of this series. What did Cameron Reid show you as like a leader of the team?
Yeah, he's got a good outlet pass. It's really fantastic to see him break the puck out. He's he's going to be a very valuable NHL product to a team because he's got that first pass, and he's also got the speed to be able to, fly around the ice. You're watching games at the Odd from up high in the press box, and it's noticeable, his speed. In games too, you just see how he gets involved on the offensive side of things. He's kind of one of those guys where you go, okay, this is going to be a very dependable player when we get him, and when we're under pressure, he's going to be able to get that puck safely out, because I've seen him rim the puck and put it up and off the glass too. So some guys get addicted to rushing the puck out or making that perfect outlet pass and all that stuff. I've watched him do the things that you're supposed to be able to do, and at the junior age, maybe some of the guys don't have that defense first mindset where they're going to go up and off the glass, but I've seen him do it. I've seen him break the puck out. I think it'd be a very useful team. Toronto would be a team that I'd go, hey, you should have grabbed him, because guess what, guys? You can't break the puck out effectively.
Yeah. Last but not least, Christian Kirsch gets a lot of heat on social media from Rangers fans. Yes, he can be inconsistent, but some of the best goalies in the world are inconsistent. That's kind of the difference sometimes with your goalie. Is it hard to stay focused when you're not getting a lot of shots on you? Because I think that's what sometimes people don't realize, is that when you're not busy, you can kind of wander a little bit.
No, 100% happens. Olympic hockey, you'll watch it happen, and junior and the World Juniors too. It can happen in hilarious ways. But if you're sitting there not getting a lot of shots, you can get into a weird spot. You watched it, the Olympic gold medal game. Binner, I was going, he's probably feeling a little cold in the net, right? So psychologically, I don't know if that has as much of an impact on it. Just physically, like, yeah, like it's tough. But going back to your first point there, it's junior hockey. Guys are going to be inconsistent because people forget these are young men still. Like, you know, there's a lot of hockey left for him to be playing, and the majority of it will not be in major junior in the OHL. It'll be somewhere else. So like, he's got a lot of time to work through these things. And if all goalies were reliable, you'd see a lot more of them drafted in the first round out of junior hockey. And there's a reason why you don't. And that's because we don't have the question answered yet, if they're going to be that good or not. It's a harder thing to read. It's a difficult spot to be a goalie. They mature differently. You have guys that are stellar. You look over in Windsor, you know, they've been able to have goalies at a certain age really pop off. They've got a young goalie in net too. Could one of them be better? Could the older goalie who wasn't drafted potentially be even better than the one that we're suspecting will be? You know, it's tough. So I don't like people being overly critical of the goalies in junior hockey. I try not to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. We try not to do that with any of the players just because some of them are literally going to high school during the day. It's just easy to forget how difficult high school was when you weren't playing junior A or major junior hockey. Thank you for joining us, Babs. Justin will be back for the wrap up. We're going to do a series wrap up, a brief wrap up, and then we're going to supercut these episodes together, and we will preview whoever the next matchup is. Right now, as the time of recording and tonight being released, the Soo is up 3-1 on London. I would put my money on the Soo closing that out, but I'm hoping it goes 7. I hope London's got a couple wins in them, just for the sake of what you said about teams getting tired and a little banged up, and softening them up for the Rangers. Not that they need it. Not that they need it, though. Game 1 of whatever series will happen at the Kitchener Memorial Auditorium.